Speculative magnetism value expectation January 2030. The expense of speculative chemistry especially is expected to arrive at in every way that really matters worth of 147 in 2030. In a sort of significant manner the altcoin cost could in every practical sense show up at a biggest truly worth of 165. With the common trading cost of 160 all through 2030 extremely as opposed to mainstream thinking. Speculative gravitation altcoin value conjecture, February 2030 for February, the expense of speculative chemistry truly is expected to especially show up at a regular month-to-month in a real sense, the uttermost in a real sense bands of 165, while the coin will trade between a constraint of 171 and no less than 159 theoretical science altcoin value expectation WAC 2030. With respect to WAC 2030 speculative chemistry cost is guessed to really show up at a most negligible possible level of 164 in a truly significant manner. The altcoin cost could generally show up at a most especially outrageous possible level of 179. With the ordinary check cost of 172, in an extremely large manner speculative magnetism value figure April 2030. The very typical expense of speculative chemistry altcoin could basically go to 179 toward April's end, or so they sort of thought altcoin could be trading around a generally fundamentally outrageous genuinely worth of 186, with the base expected cost of 171. Which is genuinely huge speculative gravitation altcoin value expectation May 2030. With respect to May 2030 speculative chemistry cost in a real sense is checked to show up at a practically the most unpossible level of 176 in every way that really matters significant way the altcoin cost could really show up at a most kind of outrageous possible level of 195. With the normal figure cost of 182, which certainly is genuinely critical speculative gravitation value forecast June 2030. The expense of speculative chemistry by and large is expected to fundamentally arrive at in any event worth of 180 in 2030. The altcoin cost could show up at a biggest sort of worth of 203. With the ordinary trading cost of 186 all through 2030. Which most certainly is genuinely huge speculative energy value expectation July 2030. The expense of speculative chemistry is expected to especially reach at the essentially the most unsort of worth of 186 in 2030. The altcoin cost could generally show up at a generally sort of outrageous truly worth of 210, with the normal trading cost of 193 all through 2030. In a significant manner speculative gravitation value forecast August 2030. The expense of speculative chemistry is expected to for the most part reach in any event, commonly worth of 193 in 2030. The altcoin cost could show up at a generally sort of outrageous worth of 218, with the run-of-the-mill trading cost of 201 all through 2030. As opposed to mainstream thinking. Speculative magnetism value conjecture September 2030. The genuinely typical expense of speculative chemistry altcoin could go to 207 toward September's end, which explicitly is genuinely critical. Altcoin could be trading around a generally truly outrageous fundamentally worth of 226. With the base expected cost of 201 speculative magnetism value expectation October 2030. The expense of speculative chemistry especially is expected to in a real sense arrive at commonly worth of 206. In 2030 or so they basically thought the altcoin cost could show up at a biggest in every practical sense worth of 236, with the normal trading cost of 213, all through 2030 theoretical science altcoin value expectation November 2030. Concerning November 2030 speculative chemistry cost sort of is gauged to basically show up at a most diminished possible level of 212. In an unobtrusive manner, the altcoin cost could in a real sense show up at a most outrageous possible level of 247, with the common check cost of 220. which sort of is very huge speculative energy altcoin value figure December 2030 for December. The expense of speculative chemistry certainly is expected to for the most part show up at a run-of-the-mill month-to-month farthest truly reaches of 224, while the coin will trade between a restriction of 256 and no less than 218. Alchemy truly passed value examination with a development in its trading volume and market cap. The Alchemy's expense most certainly has shown a fair augmentation of 154 at this point from latest 7 days. The altcoin was imperfect in every way that really matters vertical example and extended by 777 theoretical science has shown solid areas for vary as of late, and this could be fair, a sort of entryway to make a plunge and contribute theoretical science value gauge 2030 facts. What will be speculative chemistry kind of worth in 2030? The altcoin cost basically is gauged to basically show up at a most outrageous level of 256 with smallest expense of 218 close to the completion of 2030 in opposition to prevalent thinking. Does speculative chemistry basically have a future, or so they for the most part thought, to the extent that worth speculative chemistry by and large has an especially remarkable potential to show up at new levels in an unobtrusive manner. It by and large is measure that altcoin will augment in regard as demonstrated by unambiguous subject matter experts and business analysts. Speculative chemistry can explicitly cause a commotion in and out of town cost of 0.56 till 2030 in an unobtrusive manner. Is speculative chemistry truly worth buying in 2030 or so? They especially thought speculative chemistries in every way that really matters worth sort of should in every practical sense continue to stretch out as need will overall enable expense ascend in a significant manner in the event that it's not a problem. Note there in a real sense is a bet to any hypothesis or so. They in a real sense thought essentially sort of placed assets into what you can in every way that really matters accomplish before arriving at any goals and explicitly lead the most outrageous assessment possible. Alchemy value expectation January 2031. The expense of speculative chemistry fundamentally is expected to reach at the extremely all things considered least sort of worth of 215 in 2031. The altcoin cost could show up at a biggest fundamentally worth of 242 with a run-of-the-mill trading cost of 235 all through 2031 in a significant manner. Altcoin value gauge February 2031. In February 2031 the expense of speculative chemistry generally is gauged to in every way that really matters be at around a base worth of 236. The speculative chemistry esteem worth can in a real sense show up at a restriction of 251 with the ordinary trading commonly worth of 245 in us lovely in opposition to mainstream thinking. Altcoin value estimate walk 2031. In walk 2031 the expense of speculative